Richie rocks.
Everybody, thank you for tuning into the Realennials today.
I'm Pat. That's how it was supposed to go. I was reading off the script.
I'm Pat.
I'm Ruby. And I'm Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica, for joining us today. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's get the party started.
Imagine you were alive back in the 1980s and were told that computers would soon take over everything, from shopping to dating and the stock market. That billions of people would be connected via a kind of web. That you would own a handheld device orders of magnitude more powerful than supercomputers. It would seem absurd, but then all of it happened. Science fiction became our reality and we don't even think about it. We're at a similar point today with genetic engineering. So let's talk about it. Big a technical revolution CRISPR is, it literally has the potential to change humanity forever. Whatever your opinion on genetic engineering, the future is approaching no matter what. What has been insane science fiction is about to become our new reality. A reality full of opportunities and challenges.
What do you think?
I think it's unethical.
You think it's unethical?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Come wait, sit back down.
Yeah,
what
what
are
are
you doing?
you doing?
I gotta go take my pills.
Oh, this was the point where we get the
Come on, bro!
This is where we get the commentary.
And today on the podcast, Jessica leaves us hanging. Dun dun dun! You want to know why, people? Healthcare!
I want to know why you think it's unethical. Let's talk about it.
Have a
That's
seat.
a valid point. People should hear all sides of it.
I think you're messing with biology, nature of biology. No.
Come on, explain it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
I can hear you, but this cannot hear you.
That's all I have.
So you think it's unethical because it violates the biology, the natural biology of living things?
But that's biology too. It's just
Biology inherently is
Change.
subject to adaptation, right?
Adaptation, yeah.
And if you can, if you're so advanced that you can do that
Yeah, but
preemptively.
Why would we want to live 1,000 years?
I'm not saying necessarily somebody would, but why?
But it might improve life, like quality of life.
Quality of life.
Okay, given the option, if you were pregnant and you got the chance to say, okay, I'm going to give my child better quality of life by injecting them with this. Would you do it? Or would you say, nah, son, you get what you get?
So, but don't you agree that you should, as a parent, be able to
Have that choice if it's available? They even said in the video that it might be unethical to not do it. That you're taking the chance away from a child
to live a normal life?
Yeah, to be free of disease. Like,
be free.
that's
of
crazy
disease.
because you think it's unethical, and people think it might be unethical to not do it.
If
That
when it's normal to be disease free or whatever, to be genetically modified, be a designer baby, the way we breed dogs.
yeah, it's still people.
I want to design a dog.
Jessica does one. She wants a labradoodle.
Labradoodle.
Mini labradoodle.
So it's okay with dogs, but not with humans. That's where the efficacy is. The line is drawn.
It's because humans have thumbs. Is that why? Is it because we can form societies? What?
I'm confused. I feel like maybe there should be a line, and who's to say where it is, but if it is involving making
We've
the
been
human
doing
race
with food,
better.
with animals, and I guess why not do it with humans? You're right. Why not try it with humans? It's just
What do you think so the unethical part of it is what
for me it's just we have more cognitive abilities than food and than animals, and I'm just trying to give a different opinion, but
yeah, we both
know.
think differently. I mean, I still don't know what I think. I'm trying to form my opinion.
Yeah,
kind of.
I really don't know
but
either.
But
to be honest, I'm just giving an opinion.
I honestly have no idea where the line
you need to
should
stop
be drawn.
doing that. You need to, before you give an opinion, you need to sit down and really think about it then, Jessica. I'm being a big sister right now, but
I have thought, but
that's
to be
part
fair,
of our show, bro.
To be fair, I have seen this video before, and I have thought about it. You know, like what I think about it, and I kind of just put you on the spot by making you watch it, and then. But I think most adults have in them
For
like
me,
a baseline of what they think of morality.
Here's
and
a
you obviously
personal
have one
story.
too.
Like, I mean, I've been through so much shit health-wise, and if, like, my parents had the chance to be like, oh, we don't want our child to have to go through all of this medical stuff, I don't know if I would want that. I would still want to go through everything I went through. I would choose to go through brain surgery and all that still because I grew. It was hard, but I think I had to go through that.
Yeah, I mean,
Did that make any sense?
I understand because I've been through a lot myself too,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like a lot of people
Why
have.
would you want to make somebody's life so easy on them?
But not only is it like you're looking at like an individual, like you got to look at it as
society?
anecdotal.
Yeah,
That's
like
anecdotal.
a society, like you're gonna eradicate a lot of things.
You are
like
gonna
it's not just like for a personal experience. It's like
it is good for everybody. You're right. I agree. Like if we can get rid of AIDS, that's awesome. We don't have to worry about that. Cancer.
But what's the unethical part about it? I know you're putting your personal experience and you wouldn't like trade that, but how is that unethical? Like for them to take that away from you is unethical.
From a religious standpoint.
So you're looking at it from okay, cool, a religious standpoint. What's up? Explain that. Like it's like God,
nature versus nurture type.
Well, nature versus nurture is going to come into play anyways because even if you change genetics, nature is still there.
Yeah,
like so, there's always going to be an opposing force whether you change genetics or not.
Nurture will always be there. Nature is.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
nurture
will always be part.
Well, nature too.
But yeah, so I mean, for me, it's more. I can look at it from more than one. Like, not just the moral, which I don't disagree that there should be a moral argument made, and there should be points made, and it should be, the idea of it should be altered by that opinion.
The ethical line is if, like, you start, like, how they mentioned in the video when you...
Designer babies.
All of them are going to be designer babies because you're designing
by
them
definition
how you want your child to be, but pretty, smart, muscular.
But they're also not just talking about like making your child, but they're talking about like governments making their people. Like, what if you were in a government that I think that's immoral? Like for them to impose impose that
equally as a possibility as well.
Yeah, other than just being like, hey, I want a designer baby. People are like, I want a designer society. Like, but you know what? They're trying to do. They're trying to. Yeah,
there's
some
a movie
way.
about
Exactly.
This, actually, that you guys will never probably ever remember, even if I
write it down.
It's called Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That came out in like the early '90s, and it's about these soldiers, the U.S. soldiers that were genetically engineered to be like super badass. And
well, Jean-Claude Van Damme is badass.
And he was like the main one, the main prototype, like the best one they engineered. But they didn't get it perfect. He had emotional reactions that made him react to like not just robot.
Have you guys seen Westworld?
He rejected. Oh, I want to watch Westworld. We'll talk about that. We should talk about that.
Let's also talk about
time.
Masculinity then. And
this movie. Yeah. So,
gender roles.
But people have been talking about this for a long time. Is my point. From the 90s, people knew like the Matrix talked about crazy things that could happen in the future. But these things have been existent.
Well,
is what I'm saying.
we've been doing it with food and with animals.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's going to be a natural progression in this technology. That's technology.
And so what my point of view is just purely is efficiency. So like if we can design humans to be as efficient as possible in terms of the energy they use, but also like the money they use, the impact they have on the world. Like what if they could design humans that could breathe carbon dioxide?
What? Or we could pollute this bitch up more. I mean, the world.
And produce oxygen instead.
No way.
That's changing biology.
Exactly. So if they could do it
to survive, it's we're meant to procreate.
I guess.
Jessica said it earlier.
Adaptation.
Adaptation.
But even beyond that, it's like even. You have to consider it, and what I think Joe Rogan would say is you have to consider it as part of, like, we're already an advanced species, like, far beyond anything that's ever existed before on our planet. And it's like, what we've done since the beginning of humans to this day, like, we can do that 10 times over.
Yeah, it's just about
progress.
But, I mean, you only know in retrospect, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to know. We can only theorize right now, and... This is crazy stuff because it's not anything that I would have ever thought of. Like, do you think about this stuff on a regular? Where'd you find this video?
I posted this on my Facebook like back in over the summer, but somebody else I think liked it on Facebook. I can't remember who, but I watched it and I was like blown away because this all fits into everything that I thought about, like Jurassic Park and all the things. And all these things that I was like, I've been excited about since I was a kid, and it just reaffirms like the thing probably that I've been the most passionate about since I was alive is like genetic engineering. I've been fascinated by it. There's movies that I can recall that like are only somewhat involved in it with it, but sorry, I got off track a little bit, but
we do that a lot.
But my thing is, I think. It's just a natural progression of evolution. Like, it's like our species is just evolving. And if we evolve because of the knowledge in our brains, then that's just part of an extension of us.
Like I said.
Species.
Well, you mentioned earlier that we're going to get together with technology and we're going to be a bionic race. Like that's a theory, right?
Isn't that, like, just...
Westworld?
Like, when we got so far... I was talking about that. We got so far to be self-aware. But to think about to be so self-aware that you can genetically alter, like, the chemistry of the universe to create beings completely made from our brains that were developed over millions of years.
It's creation. We are gods.
In this universe, on this planet. Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, the whole... thing of it is crazy to me. Like we could potentially inhabit other planets to breathe their atmosphere and just design it exactly.
I mean, if
like,
you can dream it, you can do it.
Would we want to live in a perfect world? Would we want to be perfect?
But that's I think the whole point of the video is to point out that it could not technically ever be perfect because there will always be different ideas of what should be done with it. And those ideas, based on that perspective of freedom, will always be accomplished to some end. So there will always be differing things happening across the world.
It's true. And only one is going to prevail at a time.
Or whichever ones are the best ones are most convenient or conducive to a successful society. But if maybe fucking Kim Jong-un creates a ninja army with ninja DNA, and fucking takes over the world with and we're all sitting here, we have fucking robot zombie ninja DNA guys fucking patrolling our street because they learned how to multiply humans by like 200% or something like that.
Well, the U.S. would definitely.
They would just nuke them for sure.
Yeah, like
it would be over in a heartbeat.
I don't know how long
we wouldn't even hear about it. It would probably happen across on the other side of the world, and they'd be like, "Oh, Kim Jong-il is still in charge. He's crazy, so no one can travel over there."
But really, North Korea is gone.
Maybe North Korea is gone. How would we know? How would we ever know that?
As a normal person, I would never know. Who
Dennis
Rodman knows, didn't he?
There's like 10 people a year on YouTube that quote unquote go to North Korea, but for all we fucking know, they could be sending us to some province in China and paying them hella money to say they're in North Korea.
Kubrick. The moon landing was fake.
Anyways,
Jessica just gave me a
I
look
digress.
like.
So there's definitely a line. I think it would be unethical to continue forcing people to pay large percentages of their paycheck towards healthcare costs if they can otherwise spend that money on a better living situation, better things for their kids, better things for their family, and continue a capitalistic society where people can
But part
work
of the
for other people
capitalistic
and
society is healthcare.
in our country.
Mm-hmm.
We are the biggest capitalist country.
Nah, son, it's globalism, bro. The whole world is.
But other countries' healthcare is not.
Dude, everybody has universal healthcare. Everybody but the United States.
Yeah.
Do you know any other country that has private healthcare? Like, Canada has universal healthcare. Like, I can't think of any country. Mexico? No? Like, that.
Mexico probably has private healthcare, right?
No.
The option.
Yeah, my mom and dad went to the doctor when they were there.
But it's still cheap there. Like healthcare is so cheap there.
Did they
Mom
go to the doctor?
remember she was throwing up a bunch?
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, last time they were in Mexico. Mom had her to the doctor.
But in any event, what if robots were doctors, and what if there was just genetically altered people that didn't need to go to the doctor for hardly anything?
I think it's gonna happen. I think it's going to happen in 1,000 years.
100.
Yeah, probably 100. Imagine in 1,000 then. What's going to be happening? Guys, I think there's not going to be a... Dude, I don't know how much of this planet we're going to see in our lifetime. I'm really scared of an asteroid hitting the Earth. Like, Armageddon really got to me.
I'm not scared of an asteroid. I'm more scared of nuclear war.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump. More scared of that...
That's fair.
I'm actually more scared of an economic collapse happening.
Donald Trump.
The market's crashing and everyone freaking out. Or like all of the fucking internet going out, like all the satellites going out by like...
All the internet, yeah. That would...
By sabotage. No, it's fine. Is it? It's only because I did it like a million times that I realized how annoying it was. But stuff that just happens like once, it's like... It's over. Okay. Anyways... But Russia or China or the U.S. or somebody could easily take out like all the fucking satellites, and it would like ruin GPS for everybody and shit. So it's kind of like...
And everyone would freak out.
That markets would crash because people couldn't trade online like they normally, and the value of money would probably decrease because so much of the value is kept online.
Stop giving people ideas.
It's already ideas out there. The government is anticipating and understands that a huge threat to our society.
They've thought of everything.
One of the biggest threats to our society is the electrical grid. It's extremely outdated, like 20 or 30 years overdue for overhaul. And like the security on it, the systems that they use are like 1980s, 1990s technology that hackers could easily override, and they could crash our whole... Like, huge sections of our electrical grid, like a third of the country, could be shut down for months.
Holy moly. Imagine.
I'm not saying it will happen. I'm not like a fucking prepper, just like prepping. Although, ideally I would prep in some fashion.
Yeah.
I'll have like a couple of buckets of dehydrated beans and maybe like a nice big off-road vehicle and some guns. You know? And like... a place to go.
For real.
But I'm not
Survival
like
kit. You're not
building
hoping it
underground
happens.
tunnels and like stockpiling like hundreds of guns to like.
People do that too. People get crazy
because people think shit's gonna happen.
You know,
it could happen. Any number of things could happen. I'm counting on it not happening.
Yeah.
You know, but people do think that thing could happen. But if it doesn't happen, genetically altered humans is gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. What? Well, with that technology, let's see what happens. Well, you know what else plays a part into this? Politics. We'll see how they're allowed to use it, because government's policy lag. This is going to be they have to already have some kind of say in how they use this technology, right? Like they have to. And other countries are doing this. Like I doubt it, but I wonder if other countries have better technology on this. Maybe China, United States. Like, where is this technology at right now?
That's what they're saying. China was the ones that were testing on humans right now.
Yeah. Who knows? There might be other countries dabbling in maybe in things that we better than genetically engineered designer babies. What would you give your designer baby? Like, for sure. Like,
just no diseases.
Yeah.
I'd like my kid to be tall and healthy.
Yeah.
Like, not genetically predisposed to any diseases.
I mean, designer, perfect.
Yeah, like it's like when obviously you would give him or her some genes, or because you could choose him or her too, like, right?
What?
Isn't that crazy?
I'd do it the old-fashioned way and just wait till it came out and be like, oh, cool, it's a boy. Like,
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, you know.
I mean, it's crazy to know what you're having, but it's even crazier to have chosen what you're having.
Well, we live in a world where
the thing is,
women can become men and men become women.
Well, the thing is that people will do it no matter what. Like, regardless of what us three think about it.
Yeah.
People with money will be doing it. Particularly in, like, countries, I'm sure, like race-proud countries like Japan and Asia and...
Oh, yeah.
Probably, like,
definitely.
white people of America and Europe and maybe even Africans and stuff like that will be, like, ensuring their survival of the race.
Or, like, lineages, too, somehow, like...
Yeah, that's part of it. Like,
yeah.
Particularly Japan, it's, like, race and lineage. Like, they're super proud. Like, they go back hundreds of years of their culture to, like, name their, like, great grandfather's name and why they're proud of it.
No clue. Didn't know that.
Fuck. I don't even know my dad.
And I don't know. Their family goes back centuries.
So...
I mean, what I did yesterday. Jessica's face is hilarious right now.
It's just how I look all the time.
Resting crazy face.
So, as far as your healthcare is concerned, what I understand is you have a perfectly good plan, and you could have went someplace and got glasses for free, but you chose to pay upfront costs.
Yeah.
Out of pocket.
For convenience.
For convenience.
I'm glad you said that. I was about
to. But you
get
it reimbursed, right? It was on your Flex account. Which,
well,
I shouldn't reward that.
Well, you don't get it. You don't get that money back anyways.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
For my Flex card?
Yeah.
No, I use my Flex card. I'm paying for it either way, but I'm going to file a claim with my insurance company, ask them to reimburse me, which they will, because they pay for glasses.
But they'll just reimburse your Flex account.
They're going to reimburse me for whatever I paid, minus a penalty for going to a non-provider.
Well, even if you get those funds yourself, that's money in your pocket.
Yeah, and I mean, the Flex card was...
Well, she is paying a penalty, so...
Just the upcharge.
That's good, yeah. I mean, not good, but...
So
like
I was thinking there was like an issue here with the healthcare system, but it was just you being impatient.
Yeah.
And needing convenience. So that makes me wonder, is the
world's
healthcare
problems.
program even broken at all? If people could just like be like, I'm going to spend $600 today so I don't have to go and do
and go
a
through
couple
the
hours of
bureaucracy.
research.
Yeah, that's true.
To find different glasses.
No, dude, people just need good jobs.
Yeah.
With healthcare.
I agree.
How does that make a difference? Because people are still going to do convenience no matter what. Like,
yeah, but then they can't pay for their convenience.
But if they have... But the convenience is having healthcare, bro.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
That's the convenience.
You're right.
That it's just you don't want to go through the bureaucracy. I agree. No, we should go through the bureaucracy, but the convenience is having healthcare, not the bureaucracy. Like, that's where it's broken. It shouldn't have that long, loopy system.
It's a very millennial thought.
But it is a very millennial thought.
It's to say something that is like
it might not be broken
to us is like an inconvenience to us because of how inconvenient it is. And to say that thing should be a convenience to you
is also a millennial way because we're used to instant gratification.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you did. That's what you're guilty of in that moment. You're saying,
"Yep,
I will not be inconvenienced by this convenience." At the moment.
Dang, that's true.
Dang, we got down to it. You are so right.
That's what I'm just trying to figure it all out.
That's why we were asking you questions beforehand, because I was trying to figure out if it was a bigger issue too, and I was like, it's just Jessica. Like,
but
she's
who's
just
to
making
say?
this
I
a
mean,
thing.
but people will argue that that is great. That is an admirable trait in our society.
Yeah, that
it
you're
means
looking
that we're
for
super
efficiencies.
advanced,
Yeah,
and that we get to have that option.
Yeah, and you're finding a loophole. That's cool. Whatever, like you got around it, but
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just pointing out that it's I think characteristic of our generation.
Yeah.
Convenient. I'm all about convenience. She was telling me that she likes to wait for an oil change.
Yeah. Well,
who likes to wait for an oil change?
This would be you know what? This is a personal preference because I do like going and just being like, oh, I'm just going to go sit in here for a second. But I was also playing devil's advocate to a conversation that me and Pat were having.
So which we can't really bring up, and it's not fair to bring that up. You're right.
Yeah, and not talk about it.
Yeah, and not talk about it.
I only brought it up because you understand what context we're talking about.
You're right. I do understand. I wouldn't wait for an oil change because they're supposed to be fast and quick.
But
that's all we have to say about that.
Pat doesn't want to share. I'm not going to either. But I just want everybody to know that. I would wait for an oil change. I like it. It's my zen time. Okay, guys? It's where I meditate.
It's all about
convenience. She likes where to check out. That's where she likes to check out.
It's all about convenience. Is my point.
Mechanics do. They can do something.
We have purchasing power. That's the thing.
What do you mean?
As millennials.
And we use it in the wrong places all day long, and we complain about listen, we put our money into the things that we are complaining about, and we don't trace them back. Like
give an example.
It's really bad. I mean, just in the fashion industry, just anywhere. You guys, okay? Do you guys like child labor? Do you guys like?
Wait, are we a fan of it? I'm not a fan of it.
Okay, you're not a fan of it. Okay,
but it's efficient, is what he's gonna say.
I was gonna say you have to define it because child labor could be defined as
a 15-year-old.
Well, I just pulled that out of nowhere.
10-year-old doing chores at home and getting an allowance.
No, I'm talking about real third world child labor, like
12 hours a day.
12 hours a day. You can't breathe.
Coal mine.
Yeah. Like your little hands are great for the diamonds. But do you like engagement rings, guys?
That's
do you?
Nobody likes child labor laws. I mean, children. I think it's universally, at least America, believes across political spectrum that children should grow up with a childhood.
Yeah.
Right?
They should.
So
Pat's
I don't know. You look like maybe I don't know. Maybe
Wait,
you
what?
don't agree with that.
No.
Well, what I'm saying is everybody puts their money in. Okay, your dollars are your votes, guys, and we get them every day. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm just pointing it out so everybody's aware of it, so that you can't change things until you're actually aware of them. But you guys are supporting stupid things all day long with your purchases because you guys nobody's going to research where they're buying their stuff from. Like, nobody's going to go that deep. People are just going to buy their things. And I'll give credit because I know Pat and Jessica probably do. I know Jessica does her research, but we think about it. Like, that's why we're talking about it. Pat doesn't. He doesn't research shit. He just looked at me like, am I chopped liver? Jessica's our guest, Pat. Come on.
You do.
Jessica knows her stuff. Like, she looks into things, but as a society, I don't think that's a common trait. And that's why we have the podcast, is because we want to inform you guys and entertain you and just make sure that you guys are thinking about these things as you're doing them. And, dollars are votes. We're putting our dollars in indirectly sometimes, too, without us knowing. That's why... Stay woke, people.
So, but this adds onto the complexity of my earlier conversation about automation and labor, because now we're talking about the argument for green, right? Is like spend green. In other words, only spend your money on companies that are investing in green technologies or are not harmful to the environment.
Yeah, is that like a strategy?
That's a strategy for being green. For
is that a common term?
Philosophy, I should say.
Is that a common term in the? I'm asking that. This is all selfish questioning from my research. But is that like something that they talk about in finance? That's like a thing. Like spend green. Like you're only supposed to put.
There's an industry. There's green industries, right? And it's forced people to understand that as an industry and analyze it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Just like any other industry where there's money, right? Like there's people that realize that there's money in it and they spend money on marketing and everything else, distribution.
But are they doing it because they know that it's a growing industry and they're going to make money from it, or are they doing it because it's like a moral?
I'm sure it varies across the board. I'm sure that there have been people who invested in it and spent a lot of money, and their particular company didn't work out, and they were intended to make profit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's companies that have benefited from subsidized things, like Elon Musk, and people he claims to want to change the planet for the better.
Yeah.
So
I
think that there's spectrum across the board, for the motivation of getting into it. But I don't think whatever your motivation is that you're wrong. You should do it because it, theoretically, according to the science that we know now, quote unquote, will effectively make the planet better. In some fashion, either reduce carbon dioxide or reduce the need for tearing apart the planet, getting oils, reduce the need for spending that much percentage of our GDP on energy extraction, and allowing that percentage of our GDP to go to literally anything else. Funding infrastructure, savings, arts,
parks, infrastructure, everything.
So, does that make sense? Do I make any sense?
I just start getting so.
But my point is, it gets deep. Sorry, it gets kind of deep because then you start investing and spending your money on technologies that are efficient and green and the natural. Can I grab one of these two? Thanks. The natural.
You can't pull out gum and expect everybody not to get some.
I'm the gum queen.
The natural evolution of that is that people will only or should theoretically only be spending money on companies that have more automation, and because they're more efficient and more green.
But efficiency doesn't always mean
automation
green.
Doesn't always mean green. Did you just?
I said efficiency, but you said automation, and we're using those two.
You're actually both right.
We're all chewing gum.
You're welcome.
So good, thank you.
Blow bubbles.
You gotta say that. You gotta say we had the gum queen on the podcast.
KWEEN.
Queen. Efficiency is not the same as what did we say?
As being
Automation.
green.
As being green.
And automation.
Does not equal sign with the slide.
Bro, it's already there. I don't even have to.
Okay.
I'll tell you why efficiency does, because humans are inefficient by nature.
Mm-hmm.
And the less humans you have developing or working on your product or your property or your machines or your capital, the more humans you have doing that, the more potential you have for loss, like profits.
That's true.
The less you reduce that risk and the more consistency you have, you, just by definition, you create more profits. But then, in my mind, theoretically, as an economist, I would guess and assume that by that very nature of being more efficient, you'll have more people investing in your company. Otherwise, clients or people investing in you, because you're more consistent than companies that offer something less consistent.
That's true. That's a good
theory. So I think it
theory.
will multiply the effect. But that's just a theory of my own. I have no proof of that.
I think it's a good theory. That would force other companies then to be competitive.
An example of how that's working right now in the real world is Uber.
How?
They have technology that's so advanced that they can pay people less money and create more profit.
What do you mean? What do you mean pay people? Like, I guess you're right. The infrastructure, the system they created is pretty efficient because they do like Uber pools and stuff, and people are going that way anyway. So you're expending less energy to do the same thing, right? Like,
what they're doing, they are pretty green. As people spend a lot of money on their cars to maintain their cars yearly, and their cars just sit there most of the time. They're not driving their cars a lot. So Uber has helped.
They're talking about making Uber
I don't know.
available as an app, essentially. Basically an app that you can have on your car, such as a Tesla.
mm-hmm.
And your car could theoretically be driving around during the day while you're at work, making you money as an Uber.
That's tight.
All day long.
Sign me up. Elon Musk listens to our podcast. Did you know that?
Oh yeah.
We're trying to get him on the show.
Elon? I'm just joking.
I'm just waiting to hear back.
Respect. I saluted. He's trying to change the world. And
But my point is...
Tesla.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. What's your point?
Oh, no, I want to hear your point. It's more pertinent to what we were just discussing.
I lost
Don't
my... I don't remember. Yeah.
So my overall point then is that there's going to be a period of time in which the transition to automation or full automation is going to be extremely harmful to humans, only because of things such as policy lag and the fact that our government is run by humans who are already initially and inherently more old school, because they're just, as a characteristic trait of our government, as it's always been the oldest people in our generation.
Yeah.
And of our society, I should say. And because of that, they're not as quite aware of how things are changing in the younger generations. And that's even more pronounced in our generation today because of technology. They're so far removed from
That's
how
so
quickly
true.
technology advances.
And it's only advancing quicker,
Like
faster and
our
faster.
generation, our age, we're like barely on the cusp of it. Like we're barely able to keep up with like the next fucking iPhone and how to transfer information.
Nope, I fell on the other
fucking
side of that
dropbacks.
line.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I
there's
can't even
people our
update my
age that are
phone.
not on that level, but there's kids being born today that is, like, everything that we're learning is going to be second nature to them. They're going to be aware of all of this stuff and understand how to use the internet fully and functionally by like age 6.
Dude, kids' first sentences, do you have games on your phone?
Right.
Like these days. like, kids grow up with technology. I mean, we had TV. Would you call technology?
I knew how to use a computer at age 5, so.
What did you used to do?
Play educational games. Dad bought me some.
Yeah, Dad. Which games did you play?
They were some.
Did you play the Encarta game? Did you ever play the Encarta game?
I played that because you played it.
It was just like a trivia game.
Yeah.
You just like went through a castle and answered trivia questions. If I got it wrong, I was like, okay, I learned something.
Yeah.
And I kept going.
I was just like, I don't know what any of this means. Just gonna keep playing.
It was like, who was the squash player in the 1889? That like, it was real crazy trivia questions. Oh my gosh. I would like to play that game again. Do we still have it at home?
I thought it was part of the computer. Like, that it came pre-installed.
No.
Dad bought it?
No, it was a CD-ROM.
Oh.
CD-ROM?
Sorry, I recaptured my thought. So I was talking about
Again.
the automation.
Mm-hmm.
So how people are going to effectively be cut out of jobs. And it's even like a scale. A lot of people think in their mind, our age and of our generation, millennials in particular, we think back to when steel workers and people in coal mines lost their jobs. They had a particular skill. And so we all went to college and we're all college educated and we're specialized. But what people aren't realizing is that those same very skills are like just as much at risk as being lost to automation as those jobs were to being lost,
education,
outsourced, and things like that. I have no data to back that up, but that's essentially based off of just observations I've made.
And common sense. That's just that seems
due
like
to
that's
globalization and the advancement of technology, and so we just need to be prepared. That's all I'm saying. That's my point. That's what I was trying to circle back to.
Yeah, think about these things. Be prepared. They could happen.
Everyone's gonna have their own philosophy about it.
Yeah,
but as long as you have a plan, then I think you'll be all right.
Well, and you don't know until you don't know until you can't connect the dots. Wait, what's the Steve Jobs quote? You can't. I don't know. Anyways, we won't know, guys. We might not live through it.
Well, you have all these stores like Amazon that don't have brick and mortar stores that are just all e-commerce, so that eliminated.
But they have warehouses.
Yeah, but they eliminated a lot of the jobs, office jobs, because of the e-commerce. Like besides corporate, like. But
they created like warehouse jobs. I mean, those are. So they're creating jobs because they have to do that. But I mean, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like with the AI or automation, like we are eliminating jobs by automating them. But that's also going to create other jobs.
I think it's going to upgrade jobs too because everybody's going to have to know how to do these things.
The interesting thing is that it's going to be at a lower rate because because the people who are designing how to eliminate jobs are way fewer than the amount of people who are currently working in those jobs.
Mm-hmm. True.
And they say that effect is going to multiply.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
I'm with you. I agree with the theoretical concept of you eliminate jobs, other jobs will be created. But it's the trend that we're following due to the capitalism and consumeristic nature of our society and the convenience of technology and convenience of other conveniences.
Inconveniences of conveniences.
It's going to speed up that trend exponentially, essentially, until we're an advanced bionicle race
on Mars.
That's my theory.
Yes.
Maybe it's a little far out there, but
genetically modified designer babies. So, okay, I have a question for you guys. What do you think
that don't need healthcare?
What?
That don't need healthcare.
Or it won't have jobs.
Or medication.
Yeah, it won't have jobs.
And can do whatever they want. There'll be machines inventing computers and cameras and paints and things that people can just do for free. The arts and creating entertainment.
I don't know. I don't know if it's that rosy. Like, I don't know if that's like.
It won't
what
be.
What if it's way more depressing than that? Like, people are just.
People will lose jobs.
They don't know what to do with themselves.
People will lose jobs, and people will not know what to do. It's going to be kind of like a post-apocalyptic world.
Like chaos. Like everybody's just
economic
doing
collapse.
Crazy things.
A bunch of people will probably die. There'll probably be a virus or something that takes over, unless they use the genetic information.
Call Will Smith.
Yeah.
So anything like that could happen, but you just have to be prepared to some extent.
I agree.
Or at least have an idea, be aware that it's going to happen, and just.
Or that it could happen. Or that's a possibility.
Anyways, I've gone off the rails. I'm out of control.
Pat's out of control.
You're not out of control. You're just out of the control, bro. Right. That's a Kanye line, everybody. That's true.
So the automation could possibly bring about that minimum living wage, in which the government, theoretically, if they do what they should do in recognizing the advancement of technology, should theoretically prepare for that and instill or implement minimum living wage so that people can live and continue existing in the society.
But they're not going to. From what
I
see.
And utilize CRISPR
to
design their babies.
Maybe I'm just a little jaded to the government. I'm sorry, I lashed out. I don't think they will. They're gonna do.
But it's not even going to be necessarily our government. Like they're saying, they're talking about the Chinese experimenting on humans.
That's true.
They're just. It sounds like they're just assuming that North Korea is probably the experimenting. But other people across the world are experimenting that have lower levels
Australia's
of more
gonna beat us.
quote unquote religious morality ethics, such as like Sweden and the European countries that are investing over there in Europe. They're investing in the particle collider.
Oh yeah.
Things. They're trying to create black holes and shit and defy the laws of physics.
What about
particle collider?
Stem cell research.
Holodrunk. Or something.
That's like the same thing.
Stem cells is along the same thing.
Of CRISPR.
They didn't explicitly state that, but it's my assumption, just having read a little bit about stem cells and a little bit about genetics, that they inject stem cells.
That's what it sounded like.
I don't remember them saying stem cells.
They didn't say that.
No, they didn't specify.
But that's I'm pretty sure they showed like embryos being injected with stuff, and it's more specifically DNA. Mm-hmm. So the DNA within
from when
stem
you were
cells,
younger.
And I put two and two together and imagine they use those ingredients, quote unquote ingredients, or the specific DNA cuts or inserts or whatever you want to call it into stem cells, which will, as a natural characteristic of stem cells, reproduce that genetic makeup and create whatever tissue or whatever they have designed.
That'd be something to go comment on that video and go ask. Is it stem cells? I love YouTube.
Yeah.
You get answers real quick.
Jessica. I don't use YouTube like that. The first time I used YouTube, I searched Chris Brown videos. And I watched a bunch of his videos at concerts, and I felt like I was at one of his concerts. And it was the best.
They have 3D goggles for that kind of stuff now, too.
Really?
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can get it on your phone. The headset.
Oh, yeah, virtual reality? No?
That's still why Jessica uses YouTube. Just for Chris Brown videos and J. Cole interviews.
No, it's not. Just concerts in general.
You're like all of them. It doesn't, not specified to just Chris Brown anymore. Okay, what do you guys think is the number one biggest issue facing this generation? And you guys can always change this later, but just gut feeling, what do you guys feel like it is? I can give you mine first if you guys want it.
I think we're doing just as good as our parents, but let me think about it. Come back to me. No, wait.
I would say the decrease, the biggest problem our generation faces, in terms of what, like succeeding economically in our society.
Are we thinking on a global level, or just on a national level?
I would say on a global level, just like as a human race, what are we facing that like we're doing collectively that would that if we eradicated or stopped, or it would alleviate a lot of suffering? Like, what's the one issue that you guys think would, if tackled, would alleviate a lot of suffering?
I would probably say eating meat.
Nice.
Transition to vegetarianism. It would reduce a large amount of carbon dioxide and monoxide into the environment, and it would make people healthier because of a link of red meat causing cancers and different carcinogens of eating meat.
Mm-hmm. How would you get your protein?
All kinds of other ways. Soy, beans, nuts,
fats.
Yeah,
but
fish.
Sometimes red
coconut
meat
oil.
is better. You just have to eat in moderation. They just overproduce it.
Yeah, small amounts. But that would be probably the single biggest problem that could reduce a lot of different issues across the board.
I see. What do you think, Jess?
I'm trying to think of the word.
So mine would be just consumerism. Just in fucking general.
Yeah.
Just like if we could just change the mindset of like don't consume so much, I feel like that would alleviate so much suffering just by design. Just by design. Like I want to say that the biggest problem is maybe like global warming, pollution, like the way we're treating our earth. But I feel like it's because of consumption. Like it's
driven by
like I could say, oh, if we overconsumption, yeah, because naturally we're gonna consume things, but overconsumption is, I think it's
there's in economics what's called the law of comparative advantage, right? So people will always produce what is most efficient for them to produce at a cheaper cost. So I never even disagreed that globalization is wrong theoretically. There should be international trade. But, it should be done at a way that is sustainable to a nation state. And that's the fine line between what, like, Donald Trump and people are talking about, their administration. Mm-hmm. In terms of arguing trade agreements and things like that.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with all these trade agreements, because he pulled the plug on the TPP, right? Trans-Pacific Partnership, and they're talking about changing some of NAFTA or limiting trade between Mexico. I don't know, guys. We brought up Trump. It's over. We're done with this podcast. You guys know we don't like to talk about him.
Well, it's interesting. The other reason I brought up the nation state is because you have to consider when you're discussing philosophy, not only can you discuss it in terms of the individual. We live in communities, cities, states, and nations in which our philosophy has to be considered.
Yeah.
So you have to always try to analyze it at that level if you want to try to make sense of it all around. You can of course analyze it within the spectrum, but I just don't think it makes sense unless you look at it at both the micro and the macro levels.
Yeah, you have to. Well, it's all connected anyways.
The podcast that I've been listening to, Rooster Teeth, he always talks about the dude, Gavin. He always talks about if you can explain something to a caveman, if a caveman will understand your problem. That's how he's like understand. Like he analyzes how significant the problem is. He's like, if you can explain it to a caveman and they get it and they can understand it, then it's a problem. But if you can't explain it to a caveman, then it's just like a manufactured problem.
Like just because like I had to pay out of pocket because I didn't want to go through all these hoops.
Exactly.
Like that one, the caveman would be like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
like, what are you talking about? How is that an issue? That's first world problems for you.
Yeah, it's always funny to think about it that like, can you explain it to a caveman? And if you can't, then
yeah, I mean some problems you can,
but we can't
the
explain.
The ones I deal with most, they'd be.
It's very general, but we can't explain human beings becoming part of a bionic race in the future, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a real problem.
He wouldn't get it.
Anyways, I feel like that's a good episode. What do you guys think?
I think so too. We talked about it. CRISPR. Stay woke. I'm sure.
Check out CRISPR.
Sound bites.
Sounds like
a Rice Krispie.
I'm going to add that into the link in the description below. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and Soundcloud, where our 3 most recent episodes will always be available to stream on your phone, and you can turn your screen off, as well as all of our content will be available on YouTube.
Yeah, you guys can hit it. What did you already say? Or the Realennials on Twitter. And email us. Actually, somebody send us our first email. It can't be Jessica because she's here. At the Realennials@gmail.com. Let us know what's up. And thanks to Jessica for being on here. She was. Yeah. We had to kind of like corner her and sit her down because she didn't want to sit down, but she has some good insight today. Not just today, Jessica, but I'm saying today on the podcast. You know. Oh, we actually talked about a lot of good things, guys. So be sure to listen.
All right. See you guys next episode. Realennials checking out.
Bye.